Welcome to the Pitcher Nail Down. I'm Jason Gilbo at JGilbo11, breaking down pitching for tonight's 14-game slate on DraftKings and FanDuel. Overall, a lot stronger night of pitching than we got going on last night, which was awful, but turned out decent with guys like Eichhoff and those names. But looking at tonight's, obviously we got a lot of high-priced arms. A good separation of GPP and cash guys tonight in terms of the high price range. If you're playing cash, obviously I think guys like deGrom and I do think guys like Salazar carry a little bit of risk, at their price tags. I do like them more in GPPs. I think if you're kind of heading into cash game mode, Madison Bumgarner, who's carried a little bit more consistency against that middle of the road offense there of guys not named Stanton in a big ballpark's pretty friendly. Under a 4-run total, it's basically a pick 'em. Obviously, you would like the win, but that's kind of the downside with this San Francisco offense. But you look at Bumgarner, over his last few starts, he's been 7 innings in each of his last 3, 7 strikeouts in that span against LA, Arizona, and Chicago, 3 good offenses. His lines have been pretty much identical. Bumgarner looks back. He kind of has everything under the shelf here. So, outside of Stanton, outside of Ozuna, there really isn't a lot of right-handed bats that you kind of worry about, and Stanton's been red hot. But Bumgarner's the guy who I like. I think he can get through 7 again here and kind of flirt with that strikeout per inning rate. So I don't mind Bumgarner among the top guys. I do feel like he's pretty safe. I think if you're pivoting it away from Bumgarner, I do like Danny Salazar. He's obviously on the expensive side. Last time out against the Rays, he didn't have a great outing, but the strikeouts were still there. A little bit more walk concerns over his last 2 starts. That's kind of been an issue. But since returning from the DL, 36% strikeout rate. He has the highest strikeout rate. 36 strikeouts over his last 4 outings. 36% strikeout rate this year. He's been phenomenal. Leads the slate in swinging strike rate and K percentage. ERA about a half run higher than his ex-Sip and Sierra this year. Been a little bit unlucky early on, but this is a Twins offense that has actually had some decent success against Salazar in the past. If you want to look into that, we've seen Salazar throw some good starts against them as well. So he enters as a big favorite. A lot of that has to do with the fact that Bartolo Colon is pitching on the other side. Minnesota is a team that pretty average against righties this year. Every now and then they're kind of they can pack a punch, but Minnesota 22% strikeout rate against righties. They're in the middle of the road in terms of ISO and WOBA on WRC plus. So I don't mind targeting Salazar tonight. He's borderline cash, but I'm probably going to be looking more in GPPs. Jacob deGrom, he's the next one. I like targeting elite pitching options against the Yankees, especially the Yankees right now. They're struggling. They're starting to regress back to kind of what we expected at the beginning of the year as kind of a middle-of-the-road offense. Judge is a guy who's kind of offering up a lot of strikeouts right now. Gregorius has been a hot bat. Gardner's come back down to earth. So overall, there's still a lot of strikeouts within this lineup. Against right-handed pitching this year, obviously their numbers look great overall, but over the last 30 days, 309 WOBA, 160 ISO, 23.1% strikeout rate. Those are not good numbers. 22% strikeout rate against righties this year. And you just look at deGrom, strikeout rate's been really strong, 29%, 3.3 to xFIP. Obviously, stepping away from Citi Field, that's kind of where we get the risk. Obviously, he's not a safe bet for a win either because Sonny Gray's on the other side. In this Mets lineup, is okay, but it definitely was better a few weeks ago. So I like deGrom. I like deGrom in GPPs. I still don't think I can get off them in cash for Bumgarner, but I prefer Bumgarner over those ones. Are going down to a couple of these other options I do want to talk about. So Salazar, deGrom, obviously borderline cash, but I think they're more lenient for GPPs. That's kind of where I'm headed tonight. Cash game guy, though, yes, I think there is some risk to this play, but in cash, but I just like him for the price and on this slate and kind of where he fits in. And that's Donaldson LeMay. This guy's a talented young arm out in San Diego. 12.9% swinging strike rate, 29% strikeout rate. He's a fly ball pitcher. Obviously, Petco, that helps out quite a bit. Philly, 6th highest strikeout rate against righties, 23%. They rank 26th in WRC plus, 27th in ISO. So it's a team with not a lot of power against right-handers. Lamet's been kind of a matchup dependent guy, struggled against Cleveland, Arizona, and Colorado. Outside of that, though, he's been phenomenal. 259 WOBA allowed at home. I really like the price tag on him. He's a great SP2. He's a great SP1. I don't mind him in all formats in this matchup. Just looking at Philly's run total, sitting right around 3.7. San Diego minus 142 favorites. So for me, I'll trust them. I know, walks have been an issue, fly balls are an issue, but I'm okay with targeting him at this price tag. Next, I want to talk about Alex Wood. I mean, a couple of subpar starts over his last, 5 or so. We've seen a drop in price tag over the long run. I mean, 57% line ground ball rate, 26% strikeout rate. White Sox lineup is not much of a threat. I mean, 24% strikeout rate over the last 30 days. They got a lot of free swinging bats in there against Wood. That's just not going to pan out. Jose Abreu is kind of just really the only standout bat that can get to Wood. When you look over his last few starts, I mean, the strikeouts have been down, but, facing those opponents that he has, I mean, he just really hasn't faced a lot of strikeout happy teams. Atlanta, San Francisco, Atlanta again, Miami. Those are guys that you're not going to tally up 8-9 strikeouts against, but this is a team that he certainly can. So I like the upside. I think there is a safe floor here. I think he's going to be good for 6+ innings. He's a great cash game guy. I think he's a cash game guy over the more expensive options just at his price tag. Saving a couple $1,000s there and kind of getting the same amount of upside, and plus you'll be able to fit an extra bat or 2 in. So I don't mind going that route. I do like Lamet in that mid range. Sorry for cash games. So I do want to talk about Marco Estrada here. A risky play for tonight's slate. I mean, April, May, ERA under 3.5. June and July, it was up over 7. August, it's under 2. He's gone 7 innings in each of his last 3 starts. He's been about a strikeout per inning guy. Rays offense, I mean, it's fallen off the map even after the addition of Lucas Duda. 17th in WOBA against righties. They were up top 10 for most of the season, 25.5% strikeout rate. Last 3 days, dead last in WOBA, 27% strikeout rate. Estrada, double-digit swinging strike rate in 6 of his last 10 starts. He's 11.4 on the season. He can, rack up some strikeouts. There is just an enormous amount of risk in the fact that he's a fly ball pitcher against a Rays team that does have a lot of pop and has tagged him before. But, home favorites at that price with his strikeout upside, especially because there's kind of a lack of cheaper pitching options. I don't mind him as an SP2. But like I said, just GPP only. I think you pay up a little bit more and get a little bit more of a safer floor in cash games. But just because the lack of options, I don't mind kind of going down. He's my favorite out of the bunch because he does have the most upside. But obviously, they're still carrying some risk with this guy just because of his known blowups in the past. So I don't mind him in GPPs, but he is a cheaper tournament option I don't mind considering. So that's going to wrap it up for me. You can head over to dailyfantasycafe.com to check out great tools and content.